I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Amarendra Dāsa, and an incredible person. He has, I would say, influenced hundreds and thousands of people around the world. If you look at his YouTube channel and look at his social media platform, he's based in Atlanta. So I'm just very fortunate that he's here with us, and he's going to be taking the lead on the Smaranam topic, as Amarendra Prabhu is so much to be said, but I'll leave it here and I'll let him start to take. But I will start with a few questions that I have so that you'll get to meet him a little bit. Amarendra Prabhu, can you please tell us a little bit more about the first time you got your hands on the yoga texts and your dedication and devotion to really diving deep into this subject?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Veda, for kindly having me here. Of course, as you know, all of you know better that Veda has a very sweet heart, very wonderful, beautiful heart. So it's his nature to see his good qualities reflected in the crystal of the heart of others. So I don't claim to be as good as he thinks I am, but I'm just happy to be here and have a friend like him. And all of you, such enthusiastic, effulgent, happy, joyful, smiling, enlightened yogis. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. For me, it was pretty simple. My parents, I come from India. I grew up in India. I moved to America a decade ago, 10 years ago, and I've been here since then. So I grew up in India, and my parents, back in the 90s, that's 30 years ago, they came to this very wonderful path of bhakti yoga. Actually, we were living in a place where we had no clue, no idea we had some idea about yoga, but we had never heard of bhakti yoga. We always associated yoga to just some postures and some breathing exercises, and that's it. But there was no connect of yoga with spirituality, with happiness. That was like a missing link in our life. So my parents, out of curiosity and out of inquisitiveness, they tried searching and seeking like most of us are. And I was just a little child. I was 2 years old. And my parents, they walked on this path. They continue to walk on this path. It's 30 years into the path. They're still practicing yogis. And for me, right from my childhood, that's the background I grew up in. So I saw these beautiful, wonderful wisdom texts of the East in age-old traditional Sanskrit language, of course, with translations in English. But I was too small to actually read them. So I first heard them. I heard the experience of different yogis, the realizations that they had in their life by practicing this process. And slowly but surely, as I was learning and growing up in school, I started incorporating the study of these texts with my academic studies. And then I started practicing them. I don't claim to be a perfect practitioner, but I'm a small toddler still on the path, struggling, crawling my way to make some progress. And it's a path of joy. It's a path of happiness. So that inspires me not just to continue to read the texts, but also share it with others. So what is this beautiful, wonderful island of Smaranam? What is Smaranam? First of all, let's start off with the basics. It's a Sanskrit word which means remembrance, to remember the Lord, to remember God, to remember the divine, to remember the sacredness in our life, to remember the blessings, as we say, count on your blessings, right? To remember the grace that flows in our life. This is called Smaranam. We all may come from different paths, but there's one thing in common. We all live lives every single day. Sunrise and sunset, life throws in beautiful, wonderful experiences. Some are sweet, some are bitter, some are unexpected. But trust me, they're all coming in our life as blessings. When we don't see them as they are, we see them as a test. And when we see them as they are nothing short of blessings. Everything happens for good. Absolutely everything. There's a very nice story of a Chinese farmer. There was a Chinese farmer in China. And I love to say this story. I've said it so many times, but it's so hope-giving. It gives us such a beautiful perspective in life. So there's this Chinese farmer who has his own farm. He has a lot of horses. And one fine day, one of his horses runs away, leaves the farm, unseen, hides somewhere. No one can find the horse. So people start complaining to this farmer. Hey, wait a minute. Where's that famous horse of yours? He said, whatever good or bad, everything's the grace of God. That was his common response. He would see the hand of God, the grace of God in everything. Whether he got an extra horse or whether he lost a horse, it's the grace of God. So then they said, how could you see grace of God in a lost horse? He said, only time will tell. Even I don't know, but only time will tell. It just so happened the horse returned in a week and got in 10 other horses into the farm. And the Chinese farmer said, look. And everyone around said, wow, we thought you lost a horse, but now you have 11. The horse went to bring another 10. The Chinese farmer was equipoised. He said, anything good or bad, it's ultimately the grace of God. They said, wonderful. Now we can understand. It is the grace of God. Then it so happened, the farmer one day was sitting on top of the horse. And as he was riding the horse missed a step. The farmer fell off the horse, broke a leg. He had injuries. He broke his knee. People around came in. Look, what happened to you? We are so sorry you broke your leg. And the farmer said, anything good or bad, it's the grace of God. So these people said, how can breaking a leg be the grace of God? Like, how do you see the hand of God in a broken leg? He said, I don't know. Only time will tell. Now, China as a country was in a state of emergency. There was a war that was announced and everyone was drafted. You have to get to the war. Every citizen has to fight the war. Now this farmer thought to himself, I don't want to fight the war. I don't want to get into a battle. And when the army came in, they checked his body and they said, well, you have a broken leg, so we are not drafting you into the army. You can be home. You are not allowed to fight the war. People around said, look at the good fortune. We're all drafted by force and you can stay at home. And the farmer said, anything good, anything bad, it's only the grace of God. He said, I lost the horse so that the horse brings in 10 other horses. And I lost my leg, or I broke my leg, only so that now I don't have to fight the battle. Everyone gets drafted, but I get to be home, right? So many times in life, things happen. And when they happen, we can't see the hand of God. We can't see grace at that point. It's like, I need help. I need a friend. I need someone to talk to, right? I have that so many times. I just need someone. I don't need a solution. I just need an ear. I need someone to sit next to me and listen. And many times I pour my heart out and I tell my friend, thank you so much. And he tells me, I was quiet throughout, which means he didn't even offer a solution. Why are you thanking me is what he said. I said, well, I'm thanking you for, I'm feeling nice. I have a friend I can open my heart and speak to. So the point is just to be able to see the hand of God, to see blessings and grace moment to moment in our life. This is called Smaranam. Smaranam means to have that spirit in our life that come what may. I may not be able to see the positivity, but I trust that my Lord, the God, the creator, the source of everything, he's not judgmental. He has a heart full of affection. It's like going to a doctor. Sometimes, you have to take like a shot. The doctor will sometimes push in a needle and you have to take a shot. But do I say that the doctor is being rude to me? No, I'm not. I'm not going to say that because it's going to hurt me for like a second. but it's ultimately going to do good to me. So circumstances in life are like that. They are like shots given by the doctor called God. It may hurt temporarily, but only if we see that this is actually a doctor who loves me and he's giving this shot for my benefit, then you love it. Every day, every circumstance is a shot, which is actually a blessing of God, who is like a doctor in my life. But when we are not able to have that vision, we complain, we blame, we criticize, we fight, we argue, and our heart, the islands of our heart, get polluted with vengeance, with egocentric plans, with envy, with jealousy, with bad mouthing, with fault finding. And how can the lotus of joy blossom in a pond which is that polluted? So when we want the lotus of joy to blossom in the pond of our heart, we should, first of all, clean the water. We want to have the water, the pond, clean and pure, which means at moment to moment, instead of throwing in the garbage of blaming others. Think about it. How many times we do that? Anything that happens in my life, well, I did the best that I could. She was the one who did it. He was the one who did it. And then we're so happy. It's almost like the circumstance is like a ball of fire and we just want to pass it on to someone else and blame them for everything negative. Everything negative that happens in my life, others are responsible. And now think about the flip side of the story. Anything good that others do, well, I was the one who gave him the idea in the first place. I was the one who gave him the book. I was the one who gifted him the laptop in which he wrote his book. So we're so eager to be the center of attention when it comes to success. And we're so eager to throw the ball, the fireball of blame, criticism, and fault finding in the laps of others. We don't want to do that. Instead, we want to see not our hand in pride or others' hand in fault finding, but let's see the hand of God, which is like the best perspective in life. You see, there used to be a very famous author by the name Stephen Covey. You may have heard of him. He has written the 7 Habits, and he also wrote the 8th Habit for Successful People. It's a New York Times bestseller. If you haven't read it, it's a must read. It's beautiful. It talks ethics. It talks human relationships. So why I'm quoting him as an authority here is because I read something in his book, which I hope I never forget in my life. I have seen that so many times happen in my life where I'm able to see the application of that principle. So he talks about what is called as the 10-90 principle. 10-90 principle. He says, whatever happens to us is 10% of the story. How we respond to it is the 90%. So everyone is in control of every circumstance. Many times we act as if what happened to me is the 90%. And what I can do is only the 10%. But actually, that's not true. And he gives a beautiful example. Imagine a father who's at a coffee table early in the morning, just before work. He's sipping his coffee. And his little daughter, who loves the father, she just wants to say a bye-bye before the father goes to work. So in her enthusiasm, she gets on the father's lap and accidentally touches the mug, the cup of coffee. And all of that spills on the pant of the father. Now he has these trousers on for work and it's dripping coffee in that. Now, Stephen Covey talks about two ways in which he could approach the situation. Approach number 1, you reprimand the child. You say, you got to learn to discipline yourself. You can't touch the mug of coffee. Learn to, behave yourself and put the child down. And then blame your wife. Why did you keep it here? You know the child is coming. You shouldn't have kept that mug there. And then go to the bedroom, change your trouser in a mood that, is not so good. You get into the car, you meet traffic there because you're late to work. You reach work, your boss asks you why you're late. You spin a lie, a story which didn't happen just to save your skin. And that's a very bad start to a beautiful day. So what happened was the coffee spilled on our trouser. That's 10% of what happened. And 90% was our response. Now, on the other hand, let's say the father, same circumstance, right? So the child spills the coffee over the father's trousers and gets scared now. The child gets scared because she's put on the spot. So the father embraces the child and says, everything is okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Your dad will take care of his trousers, okay? You don't worry about it. How are you doing? And the child is in good spirit now. The father puts the child to the side, changes his trouser, leaves to work, reaches on time. Starts his day on a positive note. Both circumstances, it's the same coffee, but the responses were different. So our responses is what defines our circumstances. So what happens around is beyond our reach. We can't control what's going to happen. Can we control what's coming my way? I can't. I absolutely can't control what's going to come to me. But I definitely can control how I relate to that and what I do with that circumstance, right? That's completely in my hand. So Smaranam basically is a limb, or let's say an approach on the path of yoga, where we connect. Yoga means connection, where we connect circumstance to God. Every moment, every circumstance, you see the positivity by seeing the hand of God. That is Smaranam, as simple as it gets. Instead of taking credit for ourselves in pride, or criticizing others out of envy, or blaming others that they were responsible for something, let's just blame God in the positive sense. Let's just see his hand instead of your hand or my hand. And that's the most beautiful hand. In all circumstances, God is trying to teach us something. He's trying to teach us something. I was walking the other day. I was walking on the sidewalk, and I saw this. It wasn't in Georgia. It was in another state in America. I saw this tree. And it was such a beautiful sight because the tree was full of fruits. And everyone loves to see trees full of fruits, right? It's a natural stimulant to joy, especially those who are nature lovers. So I was walking on the sidewalk and I saw this tree filled with fruits. And I just stood there and I said, what is God teaching me? What is God teaching me in this circumstance? And what I felt in my heart is very simple. I saw the tree bend by the weight of those fruits. So the lesson that we can learn is all of us are like trees. When we are devoid of fruits, when we are bereft of good qualities, we don't bend before anyone. We stand straight and tall in pride. But when we are filled with the fruits of good qualities, then we naturally bow down to others by the weight of those fruit-like good qualities. It makes us humble. Albert Einstein, the very famous physicist, he said, the more I know, the more I get to know how little I know. Humility is the path. We can't claim to be the know-all, the end-all of anything for that matter, right? You're always going to find someone better than us in all walks of life. We want to be good, but not necessarily the best. We want to do the best of our ability, but not the best in the world. We want to be appreciative of the qualities that others have, right? So that circumstance, by seeing the hand of God, teaches me that God is teaching all of us that we're all like trees and we're all having fruits. We just want to develop more and more fruits in the form of good qualities, right? Sweet fruits. And the more we develop them, we will bow down in humility by the weight of those qualities, those fruits. And when we have no fruits, we stand tall in pride. Oh, I'm the best tree in the whole place. In the whole forest of this world, I am the best tree. Also, another thing that I learned in that circumstance. What is God teaching me in that circumstance? One more thing I learned is that we're still, getting over summer. We have not reached the 60s and the 70s. It's still pretty much 80s. And the state that I was in, it was like 92. And I just went out I just wanted the sun. Most of the times I am from one center to another, one home to another. I just wanted to have the sun. So I went out and I saw this tree standing under the heat. But yet at the same time, there was cooling shade under the tree. What's the lesson that God teaches us through that? That circumstance, that vision, that get ready to sacrifice for others. Get ready to have the heat of sacrifice, the heat of hard work, the heat of reversals, of sorrow, of distress. Take that on yourself, but be ready to give everyone the cooling shade. But many times what happens in our life is we want the easy path out. We want the shade, let others have the heat. But that's not how a yogi thinks. A bhakti yogi doesn't think like that. He is ready to take the trouble on himself. But anyone and everyone who comes on his path, just like Mother Teresa, she explains when she was asked, how is it that you can serve mankind the way you do? She said, every person I meet, I see them like how a mother would see the child. Everyone here knows the sacrifice every mother makes. Even if she has nothing to eat for that day, that's fine. She wants to share it with her kids. She wants her kids to be in the most soothing, smooth, sweet shade of life. But she's ready to go through the heat of the distress and the trouble and the hard work of the sunlight, right? So we want to be like trees. We want to be tolerant like the tree. Another way to look at it is many times when people speak to us, they can be harsh. And we can't control that, right? Many times people are curt, they're rude, they're blunt, they're harsh. And we can't expect them. We can't expect everyone to be nice to us. It's just not possible. Just because I don't eat a lion, I can't expect a lion not to eat me. As simple as that. Do I eat lions? No. But me expecting that, well, I will walk in front of a lion. Mr. Lion, I don't eat you. Why do you look at me like that? It's just not like, it doesn't work like that. So many times people are rude to us and harsh to us. And that's like the heat of the sun to the heart. But what we want to do is we want to tolerate it like the tree. And anyone who comes in our life, we want to speak words which are sweet like the soothing shade. You see, just one vision of a tree filled with fruits on a sidewalk gives so many beautiful life lessons, so many wonderful life lessons. When I had a chance to go to Destin, how many of us been to Destin, Florida? Anybody? Okay, nice. Some nice like-minded friends there. Yeah, when I went to Destin, of course, love the beach, love the ocean. But you know how the mind of a yogi is. You can take him out of his house, but you can't take the thoughts of yoga out of his heart. So even when I went to Destin and everyone's like, come, let's go, let's jump into the ocean. I'm like, yeah, I'll come there. Just give me 2 minutes of contemplative meditation. I was on the shore of the ocean and I was thinking, this ocean teaches us so many lessons. So many wonderful lessons. The first lesson that I learned is that this ocean is very deep. Very, very deep. And there's a contrast between an ocean and a pond. Amidst heat, let's say it's a summer afternoon, the pond gets dried up. Is it not? It gets dried up. And in the middle of a rain shower in the monsoon, the pond gets overflooded. But the ocean doesn't go through these changes. Even in the middle of a summer afternoon, the ocean doesn't get dried up. And even amidst monsoon rain, the ocean doesn't get overflooded. I was asking myself, what is the reason? The reason is the water in the pond is too shallow. It's not that deep. As a result, when it's hot, it gets evaporated and it's dried up. And when it's showering rain, torrents of rain shower, it gets overflooded. On the other hand, the ocean is very deep. It's very, very deep. As a result, these external changes don't bring in a change in the ocean. Is everyone getting to the point where I am trying to hint? It means if we are all like ponds with very shallow yogic experience, very less practice of spiritual meditation, then the external changes in circumstance will actually influence us. If we are like a pond with very little water of spiritual realization and meditation, then the heat of distress will make us dry. And the monsoon rain of joy will make us over-flooded in enthusiasm. But if our meditation, our spiritual focus of Smaranam, of remembering the hand of God in all circumstances, is as deep as an ocean, then whether it's the heat of distress or whether it's the monsoon shower of joy, we can be equipoised on the power of the depth of our remembrance of God. That's what I was thinking when I was on that ocean. And at the same time, I was thinking, this ocean is so great that selflessly the ocean gives so many aquatics, the fishes, the shark, the whale, the crocodiles, a place to survive. The ocean is their home. So we want to have a heart which is oceanic. Now we're discussing the 9 islands. Maybe in the future, we'll discuss the 9 oceans of the heart. We want our heart to be like an ocean, ready to give all-encompassing, holistic love to everyone. Now the aquatics, if you think about it, they all have sharp teeth. They are dangerous. The sharks, the whale, the crocodile are dangerous. But the ocean, in a non-judgmental manner, gives his compassionate heart to the smallest fishes and to the most deadly aquatics. We want to have our heart like that, like an ocean, ready to give our time, our heart, our energy, our love to the smallest fishes that we meet in life, to the most deadly crocodiles that we may meet in the variety of this world. So in this way, there is so much we can speak about as far as the ocean is concerned. Every single thing in life is only teaching us lessons. There is actually a very nice wisdom text in the East. It's written in Sanskrit, but it's translated in English. It's called as the Bhagavatam. It is called as the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam. And the whole text, it has about 12 volumes to it. And it only has stories after stories after stories of all those yogic examples. Those who walked the path of bhakti yoga, who remembered, who contemplated, through Smaranam, saw the hand of God. And how wonderfully God reciprocated with them. There's one very famous story in that book about a 5-year-old boy who was a very great practitioner. He loved God. The only problem in his life was he loved God. He loved God every moment. He would see the hand of God in every circumstance. And his father didn't like that. His father was training his son to be competitive, to be self-centric. Don't think about the good in others. Just be the best. Be the ruler. Crush them down. Defeat your enemies. Be the best. That was, that kind of competitive mentality was what the father was inspiring him. But the son, he said, enemies? Who enemies? There are no enemies. Everyone's my friend. Everyone belongs to the same father that I belong to. That's God. And he said, universal brotherhood starts with universal fatherhood. You have a father in the middle, father in the center, and we all belong to the same father, God. And naturally, we are related to each other. That's the love that we share. Now, think about the differences the world has. We have differences in the background, the languages, the cuisine that we eat and we cook, the dialects that we speak, the clothes that we wear, and the lifestyle that we lead, right? There's variety that's found in this world. But what's binding all of us together is all of us are joy seeking. There's no one in the whole world who says, well, I'm too happy. I need some distress now for a break. There's nobody who says that. Think about dogs. You just pat a dog and he starts wagging his tail in love, in joy. Even a dog, even a cat, any pet, anyone for that matter, any background, children, old people, male, female, Asians, Americans, anybody, Europeans, anyone and everyone beyond caste, creed, religion, and nationality. When we see, we find this one commonality, that everyone is love-seeking. Everyone is joy-seeking by nature. Why? Because God is love. God is joy. He is happiness. And because we all originate in Him, we come from Him, we are seeking that sacred space in our life, that divinity in our life. We all are related to each other with that common point of God. Think about throwing pebbles in a pond. Let's say I take a pebble and I throw it in a pond. I take another pebble, throw it in the same pond. And I'm throwing multiple pebbles and they all are going to form their own ripples and they may have a clash, right? They may have some struggle, some interference, destructive interference. There's a pebble that falls here. There's a pebble that falls here and they both form their ripples and they cross over each other. This is the life that we all lead. We are all like pebbles having our own centric ideas, and everyone with their own ideas is clashing with the ripples that it produces. But if all of us think about it, you just throw one pebble into the pond, in the middle of the pond, and you can see the ripples go up to the end of the pond without any interference because there's only one pebble. So because we all fight over so many reasons with different centers, with different pebbles, there's destructive interference and there's pain and war and communal distress in life. But if we have just one pebble, just one common point, if the whole world decides only on one thing, that every circumstance that comes to me, I want to see the positivity in it. I want to see the hand of God in it. We will see the world will be such a beautiful place to live in because that's the central focus for all of us. This is Smaranam. So talking about the story, this 5-year-old boy, he couldn't see enemies anywhere. He saw everyone as his friend because he saw every circumstance as a blessing, a grace coming from God. So his father didn't like him for that. And his father hated the son to such an extent that he decided to kill him. It's a very graphic story. And he tried so many ways. He tried to burn him, tried to throw him from the top of a cliff. He tried to poison him. He tried to attack him with deadly weapons and so forth, without getting into the details. But it just so happens that every time he's tossed into fire or thrown from the cliff, the boy, he folds his palms and prays to God that you have put me in this circumstance. There must be something good for me. Even when he's about to be thrown from the top of the cliff, the father asks him, do you see God now from this height of the cliff? Are you able to see God? Tell me the truth. And the boy said, yes, I can see God from this height. I can see God. It's He who inspired you to bring me here. It's He who will protect me when I'm thrown from the cliff. And surely enough, the father throws the boy from the cliff and the boy comes down. His faith doesn't shatter a bit. And God comes with His loving embrace and protects His child. Says, I'm always there for you, and protects him from falling into fire, from getting attacked by weapons. The father throws in javelins, throws him swords at his son. And the son looks at all these weapons and prays to God. It is the hand of God. You have put me in this circumstance. I still love you unconditionally. And all those weapons become like flower garlands and they fall on his neck as if to love him, as if it's the embrace of God. So many such stories that when we don't see the hand of God, then it causes confusion and bewilderment. And when we are able to see the hand of God, it only brings in joy. Only brings in joy. I remember one time I was in a car and we were changing lanes. And at that time, there was this big vehicle. And I'm sure all of you may have seen it. A big vehicle which carries other cars. You see, you may have seen a big vehicle which carries, I don't know what the technical term for that is, but it's a big vehicle which carries in other cars which are not functional, right? They have like 10 cars and it's carrying the weight of those 10 cars and it's moving. And when I looked at it and I was asking myself, what is God teaching me through this? And what I felt inspired in the heart is that all of us, many times in life, are like those broken vehicles and we can't move on our own. But we need that one teacher who can carry us through circumstances like that big vehicle was. That big vehicle was carrying all these small cars which were not functional from one place to another. So we all need that teacher, that preceptor, that guru, that mentor, that counselor. When we break down in life and we are confused and we become like those cars, he is ready or she is ready to carry us from one place to another on the power of their practice, on the power of their counseling, on the power of their guidance. So that's what I felt inspired in my heart as a real life lesson that can be learned just by that one instance. So in this way, from moment to moment, it doesn't have to be in a temple. It doesn't have to be in a center. We can start off from where we are. Just as an exercise at the end of this session, look at 5 things in your room and ask yourself this question: what is God teaching me through that? That circumstance, that object, that person. I personally maintain a book. It's just a personal, you can call it a revelation, introspection. Just a little input. I carry a book with myself. And every day I write 5 things that I learned from people that I met that day. It could be something good. It could be something bad. Anything and everything that I could collect as jewels that came in my way. Life is like an ocean. We are like swimmers. Let's collect pearls and not fishes. Let's collect the best that we can. Every circumstance, every interaction, every person that we meet is giving us some gift, some benediction, is giving us some feedback. Even if, let's say, they say, I remember at the end of one discourse, one person walked up to me and said, "You were too loud today." He said, "You were too loud." And it just so happened, I think the microphone was also pretty loud. So I think he felt it jarring on his ear. So he said, "You were too loud today." I folded my palms and I said, "Thank you so much for that feedback." He said, I hope I didn't hurt you." I said, "You would hurt me if you kept that feedback in your heart and didn't give it as a blessing to me." I learn by it. When someone comes and tells me, "Thank you, it was good." Okay, we accept that. But when someone comes and tells me, "Well, you were loud," the ego in us tells us, I don't want to hear, I don't want to be corrected, right? But when you open our hearts and see, if I could implement the feedback that he gave me, how many more discourses will become sweeter than before? And there could be many others who felt that, but just felt uncomfortable to come and tell me that. But this person is so kind to come and drop that gift, that pearl in my pocket. And I said, I accept this with open arms. All of us can repeat one sutra. I live to be corrected. That's the sutra that we learn. I live to be corrected. Not the fact that I live to be correct. I live to be corrected. It's a path of ever increasing learning. And we want to learn. And the more we learn, the more we want to learn. So in this way, Smaranam basically means moment to moment, day after day, keep a notebook and write in your notebook, what are some things that happened that day where you could see the hand of God and how it could have been worse, but thank God you were protected. By this, you can see, start off with 3 reflections a day to 5 reflections, sometimes even 10 reflections. And you can see your mind and your heart will start thinking, wait a minute, what is God teaching me now? How is the hand of God working in this circumstance?